Liberating Ourselves, Attaining Personal Freedom to Release Creative Potential, by Scott Teitsworth. Preface. Why do we bother to search? What is it that brings us to determine that our comfortable, more or less pleasant life is not adequate, and that we need to look for something more? We can stay distracted from this discomfort for a long time, but it doesn't rid us of that lingering, nagging doubt about our lives. Digging deeper is the real cure. But how do we dig deeper? This audiobook is a treasure trove of practical wisdom. It is the result of several interviews with author and teacher of Indian philosophy, Scott Teitsworth. The collected audio recordings of these interviews is available at all major online audiobook retailers, published under the same title, Liberating Ourselves. In these interviews, Teitsworth shares examples of digging deeper, the profound insights of Indian psychology and philosophy in language readily accessible to the modern seeker of truth. He emphasizes how to apply this ancient wisdom in a practical manner so that we might optimize our personal freedom, minimize the effects of stress and trauma, and release untapped creative abilities. It takes courage to relax our defense system and dig deeper. But if we don't, we are doomed to a mediocre life and a life of conflict. But Scott's message is encouraging and inspiring. Know that freedom is possible. Choose it, allow it, enjoy it, and laugh a little. Chapter 1. Is there any point to spirituality? The Yoga of Liberation. I have been very fortunate to be associated with one of the major characters of the human race, a man named Narayana Guru, who is strangely unknown outside of the southern tip of India. He lived from around 1850 to 1928, and he inspired what may be the largest peaceful revolution that we know of. He transformed a very decadent feudal society with severe caste distinctions into modern Kerala, the poster child for a healthy society and a shining example of what's possible for humanity. And yet, in the West, Narayana Guru remains largely unappreciated. Although Narayana Guru is thought of as a social reformer, he was primarily a philosopher and mystic. His social reforms grew out of his mystical vision of the unity of all life. His primary disciple was Nataraja Guru, who realized that the world was changing and that in order to expand his guru's vision, he needed to include Western science. Narayana Guru understood this and sent Nataraja Guru to the Sorbonne for a doctorate. In Nataraja, the Western perspective of rationality and science merged perfectly with Narayana Guru's mystical vision. I do not know of any person in whom there is such a fine blending of science and mysticism. Nataraja Guru's audience was mid-20th century intellectuals, so his books are difficult for the average Western reader to understand. Fortunately, he had a disciple, Nitya Chaitanya Yati, who was bright enough to understand the complicated philosophy and science, and was also able to present it in terms accessible to the average Westerner. He was able to translate it in such a way that made it very exciting and transformative for those of us who are not geniuses or well-versed in philosophy. Nietzsche was my guru, and I worked very closely with him to make his unique philosophy a part of my life, and I want to present an overview of it in this audiobook. It is an exceptionally practical philosophy. It points directly to our lives, teaching us how to energize our own potentials. Many practical philosophies are about learning what somebody else has discovered and then trying to imitate that. This philosophy is about learning to be authentically ourselves, without imitation. It's incredibly exciting every time you regain some of your own territory. It's a leap of great improvement in your life, and it is permanent. It is an understanding that can't be taken away from you. A lot of spiritual practices are built up piece by piece. You're supposed to learn this, and then you learn that, and then you learn the next thing, all to achieve some high aim. But this is really about understanding. Understanding with a capital U. There are a lot of wonderful stories about Narayana Guru. He was once visited by Mahatma Gandhi and is credited with changing Gandhi's attitude about the caste system in India. Gandhi was originally a proponent of caste, but Naranya Guru was able to convince him that it was not.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?